we can't take over the farming in Nebraska. Why? There's no black people in Nebraska.
Yes, there are black people.
Nebraska.
There are black people.
We got a lot of black
There's
farmers.
black people in Nebraska.
We got black farmers.
There are
in
black
Nebraska.
farmers in Nebraska, Marlon. What are you talking about?
There's not many, but they're out there.
Yes. The only states that I wouldn't think black people live in are Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, Utah.
North Dakota, South Dakota.
Yeah, the Dakotas.
South Dakota. I'm about to say Colorado, but
yes, but black people do live in Colorado.
We're definitely in Colorado.
Yeah, but I mean, we are really clustered in certain areas. That's why sometimes we think there's more of us than there really are, because we're all next door to each other.
And by the way, people, I'm just being funny. I know we're everywhere.
But what I was getting at about the reparations thing is just so people can have a better scale understanding. Because when you say that, we have 5 black senators, that lands to me anyway different than when I tell you 5%.
Yep. And who's to say they're for reparations? They may all be against it.
And to be honest,
no, Scott ain't on board. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Complex Mind, Simple Man. This is another Thinking Out Loud episode, production, or whatever you want to call it. And we are focusing on the black community. And we're going to talk about a couple different areas, from the political to the social, things like that. With me, I have 2 of my dearest friends. I got Tracy Carson bringing it up here. And we have Marlon over there smoking his stogie, right? So we're going to hit on a couple different topics, and it may even branch out from there. This is more of an open discussion. We're going to hit on the election up there in New York, where whatever Mr. Mamdani he won the primary, hadn't even got through the general yet, and folks already just showing their whole behinds. So let's start there. Like, Tracy, this is one of your topics.
The Islamophobia that's in this country is ridiculously out of hand. It is apparent that Fox News is the worst broadcasting network I have ever seen. How can you sit there and legitimately say, oh, he's a jihadist? That doesn't even make sense. They don't make sense. The criticism against Zoran to if you're going to attack his policies, that's fair. That's a fair discussion to have. But when you start bringing someone's culture and religion into, like, we didn't do this. Maybe I didn't experience it because I'm like, oh no, we always did this. Like, if you're Muslim, what can he? I mean, he has the proper response, but these attacks are just, I don't know why people don't see Islamophobia is real. And you would think, oh, well, that's bad enough. But no, wait, there's more. Here come the Democrats feeding right into the same thing. And they, to me, are worse because, and I'll say this, and y'all can disagree with me. When a person wins a primary, let's just say you, Marlon, you see is you, Marlon, me, we all run for the same office. We're in the same primary. And Marlon beats the brakes off of us. Marlon wins this primary. He wins it. Our job should be to support Marlon. He's the party nominee. He earned it. He got more votes than we did. Why then do you, Andrew Cuomo, get to run as an independent and you're not independent? And I have concerns. No, your job is to support, unless I got something wrong, your job is to support the nominee for your party, period.
So the thing is, you are still looking at things like we're in a normal time zone, like normal timeline. That's dead. When Trump came through in 15. Yeah, 15. When he came through for that election cycle, he broke the mold on party loyalty and traditional politics, right? So he was like the first one I can think of that would lose and say, I didn't lose. Or would say, yeah, I'm a Republican unless I lose. Or, those types of things. And ever since then, the rules have changed. So now you have it where an Eric Adams, which was a Republican, switched to being a Democrat because that allowed him to have the best chance of winning in New York. So he did that. You have a Cuomo who is a Democrat, but since he lost his primary, he'll go independent so that he can win and then become a Democrat again. Like the party affiliations are so secondary now because what matters is winning. That's what matters. And the other point you're talking about, like with Islamophobia and things like that, the color line in America has always been there. Like in whatever form we want to take it in, that's always been there. Where if you are not, what's the term? Like Presbyterian or Protestant. If you're not a Protestant white male, you're not normative. Because when JFK ran, they had a big stink
he was
about
Catholic.
him being Catholic.
Yep.
Bernie Sanders, it didn't get as loud because he didn't get far enough into the process, but him being Jewish, that would have created a stink. This is how America responds, and they don't like being told that they're racist, so they will blame you for calling them racist.
When they're clearly racist.
Clearly racist, right? You don't want this man to win, and you don't attack him just on his policies. You attack him on his ethnicity and his religion, his theology. And then you say, well, it's 9/11.
Yeah, where did that come from? I'm like, 9/11? Are you serious?
It's right. So now it's just because you're a Muslim, and they've been doing this for 20 years now. Just because you're a Muslim, you're automatically considered a terrorist. Just because you're black, which goes even further back, you're automatically violent, right? Just because you're a woman, you're automatically emotional, right? This is what America does. So I think that's super important for everybody to keep in mind. What do you think, Marlon?
To answer the question about why the Democrats are not backing him, what's his name again?
Zoran Mamdani.
Mamdani is a Democrat, but he is not their Democrat. They did not choose him. So since they did not king make, keep that in mind. You're going to hear it come up again in the next presidential run. Since they wasn't the kingmaker of a mayor of one of the largest cities in the world, not this country, the world, you're not our pick. So we have some concerns. No, you don't. What you are trying to do is you try to still keep a grasp on how you want the Democratic Party to always be ran. And if it's ran outside of their parameters, if they didn't give you the speech to say, the policies to run on, the right people to talk to, and everything else, we have some concerns. Now, keep in mind, they will support him. However, just like every other time, they'll support him if and when he wins. Then they was always my brother. That's a Democrat. Woo! Go Democrats. D for Democrat. D for Democrat. D for Democrat. They'll always support, but you have to win on your own now.
Yeah, I think the way that they'll back Mamdani is only if towards the middle to later part of the general election, he is still the strongest player. If he is still the strongest player at that time, then they will all start to get around him, because all of this time, even right now, they're trying to infiltrate and corrupt him anyway, right? So if he gets to be the one who does survive truly towards the end, they'll get rid of Cuomo because he has too much baggage. Nobody really wants Cuomo. It's just that money is like, yo, we can control him. You know, nobody wants Adams. But if it comes down to Cuomo or Adams, we don't know which way New York power, the power structures will go. We have an idea of how the Democratic infrastructure will go, but ultimately they're going to do whatever Wall Street tells them to do. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. My big thing is like what you were hitting on, Tracy, is I look at things different, right? So the Islamophobia, which is just racism by another name, was able to rear its head predictably in the Republicans, in the conservatives. But unless you're like, people like me who already look at these fake liberals for what they are, you were really shocked when you were like, yo, y'all sound real bad right now. Because they started using all the same tropes.
Same terms, same everything. It's like, what's the difference between you and the right? What?
The racism was just waiting. It's there. It's always just below the surface. The difference is Republicans make their money being outwardly against minorities, and the Democrats make their money by skimming off of the minorities. Neither really cares to take care of minority groups, right? And this is just kind of putting that on Front Street.
But I wish, okay, here's the thing, and I'll say it, and y'all had to agree with me like I care. But if they just look at what he's running on, for me, he's not even, it's not left enough for me.
Right.
For me as a person. It's way better than what the Democrats are running on. If they just took the minimum of what he's talking about and ran on just that, they would win a whole lot more elections than what they could win locally. They win a whole lot more elections locally.
Perhaps. I think that you're overselling it because of where you sit politically. The positions that you advocate for, which many of which I share, they're simply not popular enough to break through the rigid hold that like Republicans have over their voters. Because when you're a Republican voter, especially if you're a white Republican voter, your identity, your religion, your patriotism, all of that is like synonymous with being a Republican. So to break into that, you have to start tearing all those things apart, which is really, really hard to do, right? Only the individual can break through something like that. So you have that part at play. The Democrats, they refuse. I mean, come on, we've watched this since the Hillary election. We're like, yo, why don't you ever have anything you're running on? Like, Democratic Party has not run for anything in almost 20 years.
Like, y'all gonna do something. Like pick something. That's what I'm saying. Pick something.
But the thing is, I was listening to a Mehdi Hassan video earlier today, and Brian Taylor Cohen, which I don't really listen to him too much because he's a shill for the Democrats in my view. But
no.
I know, right? But he made a pretty good point. He's like, one of the reasons that and I'm going to butcher this, but one of the reasons the Democrats are so terrible is because they like refine their messaging and test their messaging and balance their messaging to the point where it means nothing, right? Because they don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it. You have to offend. You have to, like me saying I'm for Medicare for all. That's going to offend the insurance industry.
Remember
it just is.
What we was talking about yesterday, and I said when the bill gets signed into law, that if I was a Democrat, either in the Senate or the House, I will put on my website, this is what they wanted, this is what they got, and here is the vote. So just to make sure that I know is ignorance of the public that's saying the Democrats had something to do with this and not based into facts. I said that's what I would do. I know the Democrats is not going to do it. I absolutely know they're not going to do it. Why? Because they never fight back. They just do not want to ever push the envelope. The Republicans can beat the living dog do out of them in every subject known to mankind. They could talk about your parents, they could talk about your kids, they could talk about your wife, they could do all that stuff. But you have to take the higher ground. And that is why they're more popular than you will ever be. And that's why it only takes a few snippets of Crockett, of AOC, just finally having enough and saying something back. But that's 2 out of how many? And that's
221.
But here's the thing, though. Just to toss this in there for consideration. Yes, Democrats don't know how to fight. They ain't got fight in them. That's not what they are, right? The Democrats that we put in there are either really old, so they've been doing it so long that they're lazy and out of step, or they're just habitual cowards. Like they've always been cowards, right? They're not there to fight. They literally want to legislate, right? So that's hard to deal with when the people against you, like you're trying to have a debate using words and your opponent showed up with fruit and they're just hitting you in the face every time you say it's hard to, really have that debate. But instead of learning that you need to adjust and rise to the occasion, the Democrats are just getting handed. Like I was listening to a former Republican, I can't remember which one it was, but he was saying that back when he was a Republican, they know that they can go as far as they want because the Democrats will never fight back effectively. They know it. Like that's like Republicans just know it. So given that, that's why you end up with this issue we deal with where the Republicans are a smaller number by head count, but they're worse, but they're more powerful. Because on the Democratic side, we're all ideologues in our own right. We're like, if you're not perfect, according to what I want, I'm going to tear you apart. And given that, you can't fight back. You can't fight back when your own side is tearing you apart the whole way. You end up with safe people. That's what you end up with. The one who went around the whole group talking about, no, I understand. I'm with you. No, I understand. I'm with you. No, I understand. Right? That's what we have on the Democratic side of the aisle, right? But that's what we've trained them to be. Because every time one of them gets bold and really stands up and really tries to do something, they find themselves on an island every single time. AOC is on an island. Jasmine Crockett's on an island. I ran out of people who are worth anything on the Democratic side.
Yeah, because they literally told when Jasmine Crockett.
But 2 days.
Yeah, that was when Jasmine Crockett.
I was like, that's it, ain't it?
Yeah, when Jasmine Crockett ran for some higher position, was in a committee. What was she told? She's too black. Are you kidding?
And before her, they did it to who's the other one who was in the squad? Corey Bush.
Well, they just sent AIPAC after her. They was like, we'll show you.
No, but I'm saying like she was the one that was too black before, right? Because she was outspoken, didn't take no mess, and didn't play the game, right? And that's what they do. Like if you're a woman, especially if you're a black woman, they're going to come at you and they're going to insult your intelligence and they're going to say you don't have enough class. But they don't look at people like whoever Nancy Mace, any of the Republicans.
Just name them. Margaret Taylor Greene, just all of them.
They're just horrid. But they're little white ladies, so they don't get the same, criticism.
But for your own part, this is where I kind of see where you're saying that, especially in love, we do We are ideologues. I can't say that. We hold.
We're idealistic. We're very
yeah,
idealistic.
we're idealistic. However, what I don't want to see happen, and I'll say this because again, you're not going to agree with me. If the Democrats keep acting like they are right now, they could forget about winning the House and the midterm. They could just wipe that pipe if they keep doing what they're doing right
See,
now.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think. Yeah, go ahead, Marlon.
No, I was going to say I disagree with that. I think they have a chance.
They have a chance, not to me a great one.
But here's the problem that I'm having. Hey, Tracy, I'm actually going to pull old one out of your catalog here. They have a strong chance of, at the very least, flipping the House. I never agree with the Senate until it happens. But the House, they have a chance to flip the House. But here's my problem. And because we literally just sat here for 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes telling you, but they do nothing.
Exactly my point.
You can flip the House.
That's my point. But you just made my point for me.
No. And this is where I disagree with both of you. I understand what each of you are saying, but I guess it depends on what you're after. You guys hear me say that all the time. What is it that you're after? Okay. So I look at the Democratic Party like sandbags, right? The Republicans are a flood. It's water just coming in. And if you leave it alone, it's going to destroy everything. The Democrats are sandbags. We just going to stack them up and use them to buy some time while we build third-party moves, or we rebuild the party from within, or burn the whole system down. I'm not married to any of the three options. Any one of the three work for me. But the Democrats are a delaying tactic at best. So when you say that they're not worth anything, they are worth something as far as them becoming a barrier. Because right now, they're not even a barrier. They don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. They don't control the courts. They don't control the presidency. So anything they do gets beat down, even if they tried harder. Like when people say they need to try harder, I'm like, and do what? You know, we want to hear them more? Okay, great. But beyond that, and do what? Right? So I'm like, no, in this midterm, if what we've just, and this is just me being real candid with everybody out there, with what we have experienced in just 6 months, if that's not enough for you to be like, yo, I don't care what runs, I'm voting for the opposite of this, then there's no hope. There's no hope for you. Just give up. Just give up on the whole thing, because you know what this crew's doing, and you like, nah, they ain't gonna do it the way I want to do it, then I still ain't coming out. Okay, fine.
Here's where I got a prop. Oh, sorry, go ahead,
Marlon. Push back just a little bit, Thiz. I hear everything that you're saying. Me personally, I'm tired of the sandbagging, though. And you have the ability to start building houses. You have the ability to start building shelters. We don't know how long you have until you lose that ability again. When Republicans get into office, they build, and I'm just being an a-hole when I say this. When Republicans get in there, they try to build as many concentration camps as they possibly can do before they know their time is up. Democrats need to start doing the same. This protective
minus the building concentration camp.
Minus the concentration camp. No,
yeah, because like, what is the same? What is the same, but not like that?
Here's something. I'll give you a good example. Here's a really good example. The minimum wage at $7.25 is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
Well, it's been worse. Like, you know,
it's been worse. It hasn't moved in 8 or 9 years. That minimum wage has not changed.
Federal.
States vary, but the federal has not changed in 9 years.
Mhm.
Every congressperson has a contact list, right? They have a contact list of people that signed up for their mailing lists or gone if they hold town hall meetings. Why not mobilize those people to call people in other states? Because you can't just, because I think the minimum wage should be like $27, $28 an hour. That's what I believe it should.
That's what you feel.
That's what I feel.
There's no analysis though as far as what it would take for that to happen.
Right.
And that's where I need people to go. Like, it's all well and good to say we all should get paid more. Next step is, well, what does it take for that to happen? It's all good to say we all need to have, access to healthcare. Next step is, what do we need to do to make that happen? I am so tired of people only coming with their wish list and thinking that everybody else agrees with them when they don't. We've had referendums on minimum wage, and enough people did not come along and be like, I'm with that. So where it should be a slam dunk, it wasn't.
That's exactly, you're making my point for me. I'm saying mobilize your contact. Mobilize. Wait a minute. Send a simple email. Hey, call your friend in Kentucky. No, you can call any congressperson. You can call any congressperson, no matter what.
You're gonna write a sternly worded letter that we need to get paid more?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that at minimum, you can activate your contact list to do something. Bernie Sanders does it he literally does it all the time.
He has not managed as hard as he's worked. I ain't gonna say nothing from that man how hard he's been working on this stuff. He's literally been the catalyst for not one, but two national movements. Still hasn't been able to deliver on anything. So you can have all the desire in the world. You got to be able to make some things stick, and you have to make them stick within this world we live in now. Like, so often people have these discussions as though we're not in this world. Like, we're in this other world where, we just have to convince enough people. Okay, come on back to Earth 1. And we live in a gerrymandered system. We live in a Citizens United system. We live in
that's where primaries come into play, though. Huh? That's where primaries come into play. And I'll give you a good example, because Mamdani is a great example of this. He takes no PAC money. I will give him that. He does not take any PAC money. So he's not married to the PACs that are going to take the system down, right? I'll give him that all day, every day. So when you think about it, all I'm asking, because I used to say, no, there's no way I would ever vote for a Democrat. Well, at least federally, it's not happening. But locally, okay, I could consider it. But what I'm wanting is you to use what you have in your arsenal to make a change, whatever that is. Whether it's protesting, whether it's calling your senators, whether it's getting on TV, whether it's withholding, whether it's you yourself running in the primary against that person. That's an option. I believe in use every tool that you have to get to where you want to use.
But how does that deliver anything beyond a moral victory? Because what I hear is, and this isn't just with you, this is with a lot of people that are in that space. You're searching for these moral victories with no contemplation for how it becomes a real one. Like, you can have all the protests you want, but if you don't have someone to go in there and vote, then great. And we have the largest protest in American history just went down.
That's because they're not telling people how to activate. They're just saying, okay, let's go ahead and protest.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's always one excuse after another. But at the end of the day, you're trying to achieve something. So what do we need to do to activate people beyond? I mean, how much more activated can you get than getting millions of people to show up and protest around the country? Yes, next phase would be having organizations grow out of those, which hopefully is happening right now. I don't know. But then they can go in and do some of the lobbying that you're talking about, but that takes time. And that's going to take more time than getting ready for this next midterm. So if people are saying, I will not vote for a Democrat in this next midterm unless they look like me and feel like me, we're going to get the exact same thing we just got, because that's where it led us here, right? That in a lot of, I think, broken rules and manipulation. I think that did happen, but I don't have basis for that. But I'm just saying, I would love to have a real debate on the merits of universal health care. I would love to have a real debate on the merits of a parliamentary system or ranked choice voting nationwide, or reforming the electoral college, or gerrymandering, or Citizens United. I would love to have those debates. This ain't the time for those, because what's happening right now is a Supreme Court that's taking your right to push for any of those things. What's happening right now is concentration camps being put up for fellow citizens right now. What's happening right now is supporting a nation that went to war with like 4 countries and ran and just unilaterally assassinated heads of state and important people in multiple countries. So in the light of all of that, this ain't the time to be fighting about universal health care. Let's get into a space where we can make that achievable. In order to do that, we got to beat back the people who are trying to make it so you don't even get to vote.
I agree and I disagree. I get what you're saying. Like, overall, I get what you're saying, but here's what I will say, because I'm a big believer in this. Some people who I rock with on the left will say, I don't even vote. It doesn't do any good. I will always say voting is a tool. It's just a tool that I use. But I also got enough common sense to know that's not me going to the polls. It's like the minimum thing.
Agree.
That I can do. There's mutual aid. There's, of course, I'm a big believer in public demonstrations. I'm never, that's to me is never going to be off the table. Engaging people in their communities, because everything for me starts at the local level. Here comes the problem with that. It's hard, especially in a midterm. People don't, ideally, I'm looking at the numbers from the last midterm. Those were not high numbers that came out of the vote. And if that's what we're depending on, that's why I'm thinking we're going to probably be in the same situation we are right now, especially if the Democrats do exactly what they're doing now.
I'll be real with you. This time, as like, we know the Democrats are pretty pathetic, right? So I'm going back to this. They're like sandbags. So at this point, if people are looking for something to be different than has been proven to them, they're foolish, right? Like, the Democrats aren't going to be different. They're not.
No.
If you think they're going to be different and that's the cost for your vote, they're not. Go ahead and tell you now, they're not. Okay. So you need to decide for yourselves what's more important to you. Having concentration camps and breaking up families on American soil just because of how they look or talk, or having weak elected officials who don't get you universal health care right now. You got to decide. Marlon, go ahead.
And I have to say this real quick. I think the numbers, this is my opinion, I think the numbers this year is going to be pretty high, and it has nothing to do with politics. Somewhat. It's more of an American thing. I think the numbers are kind of high because of what you said, Theas. It is so bad now that people want to change. And they want to change so badly, even though you just said you think it's going to happen, okay. But still, my point is, I think the numbers are going to be high this midterm because the people want to change. The problem that I have with America is, when will you stop doing this, though? In other words, when will you wait until the flood has already washed across a whole city before you vote to say, okay, yeah, we need to put a stop to it now.
Yeah, my feet got wet.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that I'm saying this for people to hear what I'm saying, because 2 or 3, 4 years, 4 or 5 years ago, the flood has stopped. The flood has stopped. The birds are singing. The sun is out. Everything is gorgeous. But there's a crack in that dam again. Man, it's no problem. In other words, so to put it in layman's terms, is I'm not a Democrat, but I'll speak democratically so people don't get lost. In other words, you will fight tooth and nail because things are bad in this country now. But as soon as they get to a comfortable level,
you stop fighting.
Those numbers will drop right back to, I'm not going to use my lunchtime.
We swing from one extreme to the other because as a nation, we're very lazy with our thought process. Right. So
it's nothing to fight for right now. So I'm not going to fight. But now it is something to fight for. Hey, boss, I need some extra time on my lunch because I am going to vote because it is my right.
But Marlon, here's the thing. The point I was getting at, though, is the nature of this country, especially on the left, is we still don't agree that it's that bad. Like, we're watching all this stuff happen, and I think we all agree it's bad. At least people on the left, because we care about people. Like, on the left, we care about people, right? But we still don't believe it's bad enough because we still got people who are like, well, if they don't do this, I'm not going to vote for them. Or if they don't do that, I'm not going to vote for them.
Yeah, I see where I see where you're going on that. But for me, I have a standard. And maybe that's my problem.
What is your standard? What is your standard?
I'm great. I'll tell you. For me to vote for any candidate, I don't care if you green, well, libertarian. I doubt that I would vote for a libertarian because they politics confuses me. But green, socialist, Democrat, I'll throw in Republicans. First thing, you bet not take no PAC money.
That's your standard.
That's my minimum standard.
Is that above or below racism?
I think it coincides with racism.
No, it's two different things. So racism is racism. Taking PAC money is taking PAC money. They're not the same. One speaks to greed. The other one is discriminating based on color or ethnicity.
Well, maybe my argument doesn't have to do with race. I'm just telling you.
I'm pushing you because, and you can do the same to me, but I'm saying I'm pushing you because it's a dodge. When we say, well, I have my standards, cool, let's lay them out. Because obviously for a lot of people out there, what happened in Gaza was a standard. There is a way you treat other human beings on this planet.
Right.
And I'm not going to co-sign you doing this to other human beings. And that was the standard they set. I am now saying, fine. Now we can say both parties are not equal, but they're close enough that as far as that one goes.
Okay.
So where do you stand as far as how you prioritize people being rounded up and sent to concentration camps for the rest of their natural life compared to PAC money?
I think they're equal.
I don't know how it's equal to take someone's parents.
No, I'll tell you why.
Let
me tell you why I think that. And again, I'm not saying I'm around this. This is my. You said what, Tracy? What's your standard? I'm telling you my standard. When you take money from a PAC, that PAC is not giving you money because they like you.
No,
they're giving money to you because they know you can be bought.
They want favors.
They want favors. So when I'm saying, oh well, there's a correlation. AIPAC to me is rooted in white supremacy or Zionism.
Zionism, yes.
That to me is equal to racism. To me. So that's why I'm making them more the same. So to me, so
AIPAC and PAC money is the same thing to you. But there are a lot of other PACs.
No, I'm just using APAC as the one because they're the largest. They're one of the largest.
I respect that, but I'm just saying. But when you chose APAC as representative of the PACs, right?
Yes.
The global, I mean, the major money coming in and saying, do this, make me richer. I don't care what happens to the rest of the world. Do blah 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 blah, right? But that's I'm struggling with that in any way because it's been the nature of America since it's near its inception. How that could now rise above alligator Alcatraz, whatever that thing is in El Salvador.
Right, it does. And maybe
South Carolina wants to build one now.
I'm not saying you're wrong. You asked me what my standard is, and I said at minimum, the very least thing that I expect you to do is not take PAC money. The second thing that I expect you not to do is to approve weapons, any type of military weapon sales. I'm personally against. I don't think anybody should have nuclear weapons. I know I live in that hill world,
I'm
making a better place.
Into this world.
I know, but this is just me.
So you can't be, to be fair, you cannot be reached.
And that could be very well. That could be that could be a very good point. But here's what I will say. Is there a Democrat that I would vote for? Yes. I voted for a Democratic United States senator. She had to cross all of those lines for me to even say, okay, I'm cool with this. She had to stand with the Palestinians. She had to be for reparations. She had to check mark all those boxes, not accept PAC money. For me to say, okay, am I every voter? No, I am not. Am I going to show up at every election? Yes, I am. So those are my standards. Like, don't be out here supporting
my standards. So you have an opportunity to come at me because I came at you, right?
Yeah, for no reason.
No, very good reason. But my standards, number one, is always going to be about humanity. So if you're talking about racism and not just racism, but I'm going to say racism is one, classism is two, and then economics would be number three. And I know classism and economics are related, but they're not the same to me, right? So if you want a better world or a better nation, you want a better nation, because we're talking about American politics. And in your vision of a better nation, I'm not included simply because of my color, or he's not included just because of his ethnicity, then I don't want that America. That's me. So if you can't pass that bar, now we got a problem.
Well, that's part of my argument, but I'm just saying, like I said, I use the word bare minimum. Yeah, I'm just going to use the minimum, and then we can build up from there.
But none of my positions are so ironclad that I can't move. And the reason for that is because I'm always trying to move towards something better. So in my worldview, I'm not going to get everything I want. So if I know going in, I'm not going to get everything I want, now I have to start looking at what are my trade-offs. So when we went through this last election, as horrible as what's happening in Gaza is, because that is a genocide. It was a genocide then, and it's even more of one now.
It's worse
right?
now, yeah.
Okay. I said going in, guys, it will be worse, right? Because you got one guy who at least conducts himself with some kind of a moral code, and then you got another guy who's like, morals? What? What? So you can't expect that how they handle this war to be the same. So I said that going in, but that was just one part, right? So out of all that, I'm still coming back down here, and I'm like, yo, I don't want people losing their jobs just because they black. I don't want people being medically forced to detransition. I don't even know if that's a real thing, okay? The Republicans call it detransitioning. I don't believe you can do that. What you just did is you just subjected somebody to medical torture because they need ongoing care, and you've denied them care.
For
right?
something that's not even your business. Like,
and
really?
none of your business, right? So, and that's local. That's American. Gaza's foreign. This is American, right? So I couldn't get past that part. I can't get past what you plan to do to the queer community. I can't get past what you plan to do to the black community. I couldn't get past what they're talking about immigrants. I couldn't get past when they said that Haitians who were just trying to do the work, who basically were repeating part of the post-slavery story, just going to do the job so that they can feed their families and do something better for themselves. And they're told that they're eating dogs and cats and stealing jobs, right? I can't get behind that. The thing going on in Gaza is horrible, but it was going to happen under both of them. So for me, in the electoral process, I got to cancel those out. Now I got to look at where the balances are different. This, to me, what we're experiencing in this current thing is so much worse than anything anybody can even remotely prove would happen under the other administration. So now I'm like, okay, but we're here now. We're here now. What do you want out of this? What do you want next? You want more of this, or do you want something different? If you want more of this, then do what you did last time. If you want something different, do something different than you did last time. It's just kind of like that.
Okay, so
your mic, is he low to you too, Tracy?
Yep, you sure are. I'm like, what'd he say?
Actually, I didn't say anything. I was trying to talk and clear my throat at the same time, and it apparently didn't work. So I'll never do that again. So here's my thing. I can take a little bit of Tracy. I can take a little bit of this. Because we have to remember that everybody's alignment in life, in politics, whatever, is not always going to be the same. I mean, it is just the way it is. It doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's different. That's fine.
And sometimes it's wrong.
Very few is wrong.
If you are an avowed racist, you're wrong.
That's what I said. It's wrong. But you know, I'm not playing some madness with you. You know, wrong and right. No, I'm not doing that. So I can see the American people. I can see what their thought process when it came to Palestine and Israel and Gaza and everything else. It was naive of them because they didn't think it was going to get this bad. Now, granted, we've told you it's going to get that bad. Nah, this is the part where you said earlier, Theus, because America's lazy. We went through 4 years of not having, well, what was the word? We went through 4 years
no scandals
of the status quo. Of the status quo. We went 4 years of it. And we forgot what non-status quo is. We are now into the non-status quo. So when we say, oh, I got something to fight, Gaza, I have something to fight for, Gaza, because it can't get no worse than what's going to happen in Gaza. Yes, it will, and now it's here. Now, that's my point on that. So I can see it from both ends. Now to say something that's very political. To all you little bastard doctors out there that keep saying, well, I have to drink 4 or 5 bottles of water a day. Y'all got to find a way for me not to have to use the bathroom all day then, because this is outrageous. I can't do this every day. This is
you talking about?
Marlon, that's the way your body works. You drink, if you put it in, it's going to come out. And what? That's biology. What is you?
Stand this.
You supposed to be going. If you're not going to the bathroom, something's wrong. Something wrong. You're supposed to go.
Hey,
and
so
4 glasses of water a day, that's not enough. You should be drinking 8 or 9 or 10, perhaps.
No.
So Tracy, apparently
something Marlon's on some. I don't even know.
Broke on our brother. So
yeah, because yes.
Today is the 4th of July.
Yes.
The anniversary of the establishment of this here wonderful nation. What's your thoughts?
America makes me sick. It was a couple when I was a little bitty girl. Oh, I used to love 4th of July because I loved the parades, I loved the fireworks, I bought into the idea of America, land of the free, home of the brave. Somehow, somewhere, thank you, Lord, I grew the heck up and started to open my eyes to what this country really is. Once I connected white supremacy to what's going on, there's no way I'm going to celebrate 4th of July. I literally look at it as the day before my brother's birthday. That's literally, I don't go barbecue. I don't, like I said, today I went to a Pan-African summit. I'd rather spend my time watching a Full House marathon than to celebrate the 4th of July. It means like Juneteenth means more to me than the 4th of July. This day means nothing to me, and it's because it's based off of nothing. All these politicians are freedom. Really? You're gonna tell people that you're spying on them? Really? You're gonna tell people that you purposely hold down their wages? Really? So this holiday, it literally means nothing to me. I don't like it. I wish it was off the calendar, but like I said, I just think of it, tomorrow's my brother's birthday. And I just go with that.
How about you, Marlon? What's 4th of July mean to you? Your Easter speech. What happened? Oh,
he's going to. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. No, but really, I mean,
you
go ahead,
literally cannot get me to celebrate with a group of people who basically took everything they got. Everything. This country took this land, the people, the crops, the oil, the animals, the fur, you name it, they took it.
And now they want to get rid of the people.
Then they want to get rid of the people that they took it from. You got to go back to your own country.
And somehow, some way, you want us to, and this is America. You can be mad at me all you want to. There's my name right there. There's my show name right there and everything. So y'all can come back. You want me to celebrate thievery. Because I know y'all hate the word colonizing. I know y'all hate that word now recently because y'all can't fight it no more. But y'all want us to celebrate this. I'll do you one better. You know, while I'm talking, Diz, I know you probably in front of the computer. While I'm talking right now, I want you to look up the Star Spangled Banner.
Verse 3.
Verse 3. Oh, you already know that. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to celebrate.
Francis Scott Key was not a fan.
You want me to celebrate this. You want me to sing that song with my hand over my heart. And I am a Christian. And you want me to put my hand on my heart and pray, bruh, kick rocks. It ain't finna happen. And I'm not even being sad or mad or anything about Juneteenth. I'm cool with Juneteenth. I'm glad it's here. It does give only the Black people a time to celebrate something special in this country.
I disagree.
Anybody can celebrate Juneteenth.
Yeah, no.
I think everybody. So here's the thing.
I'm selfish. No.
Juneteenth. See, that's just it, right? Juneteenth. If we wanted it to just be our cultural celebration, then we shouldn't have had people pushing for it to be nationally recognized. But we did. So now it's nationally recognized. It's right there with Cinco de Mayo. It's right there with July 4th. It's right there with Memorial Day. Everybody, especially in America, that's American history. Juneteenth is a part of American history. So everybody celebrate it however you want to. Celebrate it like you really care about the day, or celebrate it by having a day off. Hey, that's cool.
And depending on what state you live in, because I live in a state that does not recognize Juneteenth.
Yeah, I don't think my state. I have to look it up. I don't think my state recognizes it, but I got a half day.
We get a no day. We don't get extra pay for it. We got to come to work, and they're gonna send us email. Happy Juneteenth. No, happy.
Yeah, y'all ain't out the field yet. Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah, it's like thank you. Go back on the field and get back to work.
I'm gonna tell you how funny corporate America is. I'm never gonna forget this. I'll never forget this. The company I used to work for is international. So they put out a widespread email. We are such a diverse, and I'm just paraphrasing, we're such a diverse and forward-thinking country that we have decided within our country that Juneteenth will be celebrated with a day off. It'll be a day off for nobody to go into the office and everything. Theus and Tracy.
You didn't get paid for it.
A week later, the United States had decided to make Juneteenth a national holiday. I went, you ain't give a crap about the company.
Hey, you got the day off, bro.
Coming down the pipe.
At least you get Juneteenth off. I got to work.
Day off, bro. Take the day.
June 19th was on what day?
I should have known because one of the offices is in DC. So I was like,
Here's the thing, right? And people may not like how I put this, right? Because I consider myself to be a little bit more evolved than most when we talk about a lot of Black issues, right? So I look at Juneteenth and having a day off, and I want everybody to be able to enjoy the day off, and I don't care what you do with it. Just like I don't do nothing for the 4th of July. I don't do nothing for 4th of July. I don't want my boss to come to me talking about, well, since you don't celebrate the 4th of July,
you got to work.
Might as well come on to work. I don't want that. No. They made it a national holiday. If I had my druthers, it would have never become a national holiday. It would have, because it's really a day of shame for this nation that it took that long
to get the
word back. Let the last ones know. And it wasn't even the last ones, because we find out later that there were remote populations that never got told. Right? So it's a complicated thing. So for me, what does the 4th of July mean to me? It's like this. America is my home. And I love my home because it's my home. I will defend my home here. I'm not going over there to do it. Here. But I also recognize that my home is not a home filled with love. It's an abusive space, right? It takes as much as it gives. Sometimes it takes more than what it gives. But we have a complicated relationship, right? So 4th of July to me is okay. This is the nation that I call home. I am a citizen of this nation, no matter what anybody else says about it. So cool, 4th of July. But I can't go out there and celebrate it for all the reasons many of us know. My people were still in slavery when this so-called independence was won. And this nation has continued to fight against my people's independence ever since. Even to this day. We have court cases attacking the 14th Amendment. They're attacking the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment. You're attacking all of the amendments that had to do expressly with post-slavery. How do I celebrate that? In what world could I celebrate that, right? So that's how I look at 4th of July. It's a very complicated thing, but it's very clear for me.
Like I said before, I almost view it kind of like I view Thanksgiving. Would you realize what the root of Thanksgiving is? The slaughter of indigenous people, not them sharing the resources and teaching. No, they killed
Day of betrayal.
Yeah, they killed indigenous people. It's just a day I hang out with my family and eat a whole lot of food that I shouldn't probably be eating. Except for 4th of July, I don't go to family barbecues because, again, tomorrow's my brother's birthday. So why am I celebrating? I'll just wait till tomorrow to see everybody.
Yeah, I'm just too lazy to go anywhere. Plus, it's my wife's birthday coming up, so I'm saving money until then.
You gonna take her somewhere nice?
Probably not. We don't really celebrate like that. But we're traveling next weekend, so we're gonna go and do some things next weekend. What was we were gonna talk about the budget busting bill. Tracy, take it away. Oh wait, let's let Marlon lead into the BBB.
All busting bill. So remember at the beginning of the show when we said things are going to get a lot worse? Things are going to get a lot worse. I haven't read through the whole bill, so I'll let y'all talk more than me. What I understand about the bill of Medicaid being cut to save money for. Okay, here's the problem that I'm always going to have on Thea's show and on Tracy's show. I use too much common sense. I was brought and raised up on that. My mom said, if you don't have anything in life, have common sense.
Tracy, he just said we don't have no common sense.
Hey, I know for real.
No. I'm saying I'm going to have a problem on y'all two show because y'all are the dialogue of what's going on. Y'all use logic, y'all use facts and everything else. And I'd like to do the same thing, but I can't use facts on something that's just stupid. It's just so stupid, but you want me to make sense of it. I can tell you everything that's wrong with it, but if I keep telling you everything that's wrong with it, but you keep saying, well, let's wait and see. And then when it happens, you want me to sit here and go, do anybody think of what's going on? Do anybody think about Nebraska? No, you let it happen. You already let it happen, and now you want somebody to come and save you. This bill was going to happen as soon as you voted for Trump or didn't vote at all. And now you want me to make sense of it. I don't even know if I can make sense of it to make you even feel better because it's not going to make you feel better. We're going to go into a deficit, and they're just going to keep raising the roof and raising the deficit. There you go. I know raise the roof. I know that's not what I meant. Raise the deficit roof and raise the deficit roof and raise the deficit roof and raise the deficit. And they're going to keep doing that to tell you, look how good we're doing. This bill was exactly what we needed. Meanwhile, you have no problems, which remotely means that millions of America is going to pretty much lose the only health insurance they have. And you're fine with that. You're fine with that. Because either A, it doesn't affect you, as in, i.e., you don't use it, and or B, you don't know anybody who's using it anyway.
Yeah, but Marlon, here's the problem with that.
It may be a little of C. You may just be an a-hole who does know somebody who owns it, but since it ain't affecting me.
You just got to it. Thank you. That's the problem that I have. This bill, I don't know if people like why people get their rocks off by just being plain evil. This bill is evil. Not only does it cut Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, it increases tax breaks for the top wage earners, which literally makes no sense. It increases ICE funding. I don't know how you guys feel about ICE, but I feel like ICE should have been gone years ago. Why is ICE still around? I don't get it. I don't understand it. when I hear Republicans say, oh, yeah, this is going to put me in a bad spot, but I'm happy it passed because it's going to make Democrats lose, I got to start scratching my head and be wondering what's wrong with people. This is not only going to affect people with Medicaid, but this is going to start creeping into people with private health insurance. If you don't think private health insurance is going to skyrocket and more money is going to come out of your paycheck and you're going to get less and less coverage, you are fooling yourself. I use myself as an example. I have an insulin pump. Everybody knows I wear an insulin pump. Without insurance, my insulin pump costs $3,500. The only way I was able to afford my insulin pump is because I met a $3,000 out-of-pocket maximum under the private insurance plan. Somebody with Medicaid doesn't have to do that. Now, they had to go through a whole bunch of other barriers like pre-authorization, et cetera, but they don't have to do that. Insulin pumps are vital, like vital. I don't think people realize that when you're on a pump, it literally corrects your blood sugar right then and there, and you're not making trips to the hospital and suffering with lows and highs, which can teeter the system off. You're getting care at the point of your highs or your lows. It reduces the cost of taking care of diabetes, because to be diabetic, you got a whole lot of costs. You got to I wear a continuous monitoring unit, which means I put something on my body. It tells me, oh, my blood sugar is 135. Then that 135 tells my pump, oh, we'll give her this much insulin. Without that, because most type 1 diabetics wear pumps. We just do 95% of all type 1 diabetics wear pumps. Those pumps are not going to stay at 3,500. They're going to go up to 4,000. They're going to go up to 5,000. And there's nothing going to be able to regulate it. So not only does it become hard with people with Medicaid to get it, because it's already hard for them to get it in the first place, now it becomes harder. It's going to become harder for people with private insurance to get that pump that can be, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it makes such a difference. Like, I can literally sit here and talk all day about, like, yeah, this is going to be bad. If you have a chronic disease and you're on Medicaid or private health insurance, or you have no insurance, you're not about to experience some good times. And the other thing that I think that Trump did that's dirty is everything I think he is doing us dirty. This bill doesn't take effect until 2028. What happens in 2028?
So here's the thing. Not only does it have that delayed thing for the worst of it, but the benefits start early. But here's a couple things that's I think is super important.
Oh, and apologies for getting into my insulin pump. I know nobody wanted to hear all that, but
it's relevant because
yeah.
So first of all, I need to say something because I failed to say it before. Yes, I definitely blame non-voting people, even though I have an argument for a lot of people who do not vote at all. Like, if you never voted in the first place, I really don't have much of a criticism for you. Actually, I have a criticism for all of us who are voters, because that means that we have not presented a valid argument to you to make it make sense to you to vote, right? Because we do such a bad job at it. So the people who just simply do not vote, my criticisms really aren't for you. The people who normally do vote but chose not to vote for whatever your reason, my criticisms are for you. The people who voted third party, given what we were up against, my criticisms are for you. The people who voted, they skipped the top of the ballot and voted the rest, my criticisms are for you. And I did that. I did that last one. I did that in the Hillary election. So I understand, guys. I get it. I was still wrong.
Okay, and let me backtrack. How can, because the third party vote, I mean, even if Kamala,
I know, even if you added us all up, we wouldn't have made the election.
What my side is it allows third party voters, they did end up voting for Kamala. They absolutely did.
But then there weren't third party voters in that election. So I'm talking about the ones who are third-party voters and they voted third party. Like if you're third-party voter and you voted for Kamala, then that's not the same thing. You're not a third-party voter in that election, right? But the real blame must always go towards the people who actively voted for that guy.
And he got more votes than everybody else.
Huh?
He got more votes than anybody else.
Right. That has to always be important. That yes, there's criticism and blame that all of us need to share. Those of us who voted the right way, but you didn't go out of your way to, or you weren't effective in helping people vote like you because you weren't convincing enough, because what you were representing was sorry and pathetic. So it was a really hard job to get somebody to be like, yeah, I'll vote for it, right? We all have unclean hands in this, in my view. But the dirtiest of the dirty are the ones who looked at that mess and said, yeah, I want that. Right? Those are the main ones for me. But this bill, like Marlon was touching on, when we knew it was coming, the moment we knew this was coming, it's not a surprise. I refuse to pretend like I'm surprised. I was speaking against this thing before it was proposed. I was speaking on this thing when Project 2025 was announced 2 years ago, right? This was about as obvious can be. It's just now it's real and it's going to kick in. And I'm sorry if people weren't paying attention, but that's on y'all because the information's everywhere. If you didn't know, it's because you literally chose not to know.
Yeah, you chose ignorance.
Right. So now that you're starting to come on up to speed, okay, fine. Understand that there's going to be people who are going to point out your folly. But at the same time, we welcome you aboard. Let's get to work and let's do something different. But yeah, this is going to be really bad because like Tracy was talking about, it's not just the people who lose their Medicaid. It's their caretakers.
Yep.
It's those of us with private insurance. Our deductibles are going to go up. Our plan expenses are going to go up. Our benefits are going to go down. The Republicans can't quite get rid of Obamacare, but this was the next best thing to doing that. And they will not stop here. The next step is going to be making sure your children can't stay on your policy to the age of 26. So that's going to be another step. We're also saying they have a work requirement, which I think a lot of times gets really missed in some of the discussion. A work requirement is devastating because unless you first make work more available and make work more affordable, telling everybody to go to work on a plantation is not exactly a jobs program.
But here's the thing I'll say about that. I mean to cut you off, but at least in Indiana, most of the people on Medicaid already work. They already have a job. They're at a job. And I'm going to call them out Walmart that does not offer insurance until you're a full-time employee. And then they pull that trick up. Yeah. They pull that trick to make you not a full-time employee. So the majority of people who are on SNAP or who are on Medicaid, they already work. This is just a bunch of mean people just trying to screw everybody over. I can't even say it no other way.
And then the other part that I think really gets overlooked in this bill, because Medicaid, I think, is an easy one because it scares people and it's going to like rip through rural America because you got a lot of people out in the sticks where there's only 100 jobs and there's 400 people. So what they supposed to do, right? Personally, that's why one of the reasons I'm 100% on board with Tracy about universal health care, because I'm like, no one gets rich on having health care. So everybody should have health care. I'll pay the tax, raise my taxes if it's going to help people be able to go to the doctor, right? But the other thing that I think also gets missed is this is going to remove accountability on the executive branch to the judiciary. That one is a big, big deal because now that the executive branch, the president, is no longer as constrained by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has lost a lot of jurisdiction on being able to enforce like their rulings against executive orders and stuff like that. This is about to be mayhem. And then what was the last one? There's a lot in this bill, but I'm just the ones that I've chosen to focus on. man, I forgot what it is. Marlon, you had something you want to say?
Oh no, I'm just reading over the bill now, and I'm trying to get over the ones that's just making that the most beautiful thing they've ever heard in their life.
Yeah,
So it's
like
gonna take a minute here.
Yeah, and like for me, the way if you go on Twitter, I know Twitter is racist, but I go on there every now and then just to kind of see what people are saying. When you hear conservatives talk, y'all used to make sense to me. Like I didn't agree with what you were saying, but on some level, like y'all used to make sense. Now you're just like, yep, I'll screw my own interests over just so the Democrats don't get health care.
Yeah, to beat the libs. Yeah.
Really? That's your criteria of success.
Until it happens.
Okay, I do remember this one. This was the one that had no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and new tax cuts for seniors. Read the fine print.
Like, yeah, because that doesn't, people don't even tip. Yeah, you got to put a big old cap because people do not tip the way that they should be tipping when they go out to restaurants.
No, it's worse than that.
It's not that, Tracy. There is no tax on it. They just forgot to use one word, one little itsy bitsy word for it. There's not an immediate tax on your tips.
Yeah, until you start spending.
You have to claim all your tips at the end of the year as income.
You're supposed to.
And basically, I think I have this number right. The first 25,000 is what's tax free. So if you live on tips, you still get taxed on most of your money.
Yeah, you still get taxed.
This was designed for those who earn commissions, because see, they redefine the commissions to fall underneath the tips guidelines. So now we're talking about Wall Street bankers and things like that who are going to get a great tax cut because a lot of the money they're getting is going to be classified as a tip. So there's games within games within games. And then like we got people who are like, well, I voted for a tax cut. No, you didn't. You voted for a continuation of the tax cut that's already in place. So the wealthy 1% is about to get more of a tax cut. Most of us stand to get about $500 more of a tax cut for the year. So all the chaos that's about to flow out of this, you might get an extra $50 a month.
Maybe.
And think about it, Pat, in 2016. Something that was sticking in my head. It was a video that I saw. The guy said, well, the guy asked the other guy, why did you vote for Trump? Well, I wanted the tax cut. Well, have you seen any changes in it? Yeah, I saw a big change in my check the next time it came out. First of all, it didn't pass yet, so you didn't see a change in your check yet. He just literally got there. He just promised. The tax cut was 13%. Okay? I know a lot of the people who watches Thea's show, watches my show, watches Tracy's show. I know y'all are not millionaires and billionaires. And if he is, bless your heart. Thank you for watching. 13% to the average American person? Yeah, thank you. 13% to a millionaire and a billionaire? That's huge.
But even to them, it's still 13%. So they still don't notice.
But
they still don't notice.
All you saw was 13%. So, hey. Happy days are here again. No, but they literally meant to do that for the 1% in this country.
Absolutely.
But here's what I'm going to plug, and I'm going to promote my own video. Y'all need to learn modern monetary theory. Just learn it. Learn it.
Why?
Because in theory, now, of course, I'm just new to the whole MMT movement. I'm new. It makes more sense for me to say, you know what? We can have nice things. We don't have to we don't have to tax the billionaires to pay for things. Should they be taxed in theory because they make more? Yes, because to whom much is given, much is required. That's just more than the average American.
Oh no, I'm just being a little tongue in cheek.
But we can't if once we understand that the government is the one on the federal level, not the state level, that the federal government issues money, they could literally pay for all of this stuff.
No, that's not how that works. I understand what you're getting at, this new theory that they have. But it's not just because we're not anchored in fiat money. It still has counterbalances to it, right? Because it's built on credit and trust, which is why we're starting to run into some of the issues we have now. Even if you were to shift that theory, which we can't, because that's just not how the global economy runs, it didn't change the inequities that we're concerned about. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't change that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm learning as I go along, because I'm like, well, how would that? And I always use reparations as the example. I'm always going to use reparations as the example because it's the easiest one. I don't see why we are fighting for reparations on the state levels.
We shouldn't be.
But they are.
Yeah, it's a trick. It's a trick.
Right. If I don't live in that state.
Why are we fighting it on the state level?
I don't know why they're fighting
on the
state level.
They're fighting at the state levels and local levels and community levels is because it's easier to have the discussion. And if any of these states truly come through with a reparations package, it will instantly fall into a states' rights situation. And then you will see it go nowhere. And now the federal government will be left off the hook. That's why I say it's a trick.
Yeah, that's why I have to agree with that.
Yeah, the nation owes a debt.
I'm so cynical of this country. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying because I didn't even know that was happening. But when I said, why are they fighting at a state's level? I don't know why I thought because every state wasn't in slavery. So why should all the states have to give reparations?
You know, Governor Brown literally used that argument. He literally used that argument when asked that question. He said Indiana wasn't a slave state. Well, technically, it wasn't. So why would Indiana even? Because you have to live. It's like people fighting for Medicare for all at the state. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. On one hand, what they figure is if California does it, Oregon does it, it'll just grow, and then all the states will be doing it. But I got to agree with this. This is a federal thing. Yeah. This isn't a state thing. If you don't live in the right state, you're not getting nothing.
Well, the thing about it, though, and this is why we have to be so careful, and it's hard to navigate this space because, one, our side really, really sucks at staying on message. We're so attached to what our opposition says and does that we're always responding to them, which allows them to dictate all the conversation. I submit that we've all heard the phrase America's original sin. And when they say that, they're usually talking about slavery, even though America's original sin was the indigenous genocide. Their second sin was what they did to us. But that was a national thing. The slaves were held in the South originally, right? That's where the slaves were. And then, depends if you count Virginia as South. But the slavery was in the South. But the product that was generated in the South was sent to the North.
Yep.
To have it refined and able to be sold elsewhere. So it was one big system. So America owes for slavery, not just Georgia, not just Tennessee, right? It's America. And that's why I say it needs to be federalized because it's a national thing. And also, I think that we need to have real plans and discussions about reparations. I know people don't like studies, but because we keep getting stuck in this start-stop thing, we're going to keep getting stuck in these stupid studies. But it needs to be studied. You need to bring the people in who actually know about this stuff. Because so long as the narrative is you're going to cash us out for slavery, you've completely lost what reparations is about. Reparations isn't just about slavery. Reparation is about everything that came through that. It's the slavery, it's the Jim Crow, it's all of that, right?
The prison industrial complex.
Right. It's 1619.
You bring in crack into our communities on purpose.
Right. So the trauma and the damages didn't stop until, I mean, whenever you want to pick a year, but truly it hasn't really stopped. It's just changed form. So that's what reparations has to be couched in that there was a crime and the crime was allowed to continue. So you're making a national restitution for a crime that's being committed on your shores.
Yeah, and there are some issues that are absolutely local. Absolutely local.
Like but when you're talking reparations,
I know. I use reparations because I know there's a lot of moves. There's one in Massachusetts. There's one in California. There's one in, I want to say Illinois so bad, and I don't think that's right. But again, if I don't live in any of them states, how that's going to benefit me?
And that's the next issue. If you do it at a state level, then you will have Black people fighting reparations because of well, wait a minute, you get some, but I don't get some. I'd rather you have nothing if I can't have nothing.
Now, right? I wouldn't say that. I'd be like, yes, get yours.
I'm not saying you did say that, but you would be part of the argument because you just raised it. Like, how does that serve me? I'm Black, right? So even though you wouldn't say, well, no, I don't want it at all if I can't have it, it's the fact that you would be raising your voice and say, well, wait a minute now. Whoa, right? And that will be used against you. And
yeah,
that will be used against reparations. That's why it has to be a national thing. And then we also need to factor in that if you're going to talk about reparations, you will have to address the fact that all the other groups are going to fight against it just because they're not included. Yep. They shouldn't be, but they're still going to fight.
And I would argue, hey, Japanese Americans got reparations. Mm-hmm. Victims of the Holocaust that live in America got reparations. To some point, we've even given reparations to the indigenous community in some respects, not as much as I think
we violated every treaty we did.
Yeah. And so how come when the conversation comes to Black people, also, we can't afford it. We can.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of it comes into how you approach it.
Because I have my argument with that. Why do the Black people deserve reparations? The slave masters got it after they lost the slaves.
There you go.
So why all of a sudden do we? And thing is, I would agree with you. Please do not think I'm disagreeing with you.
I'm with you.
So why do they get reparations without no study, yet we have to study and analyze and vote and then move that vote to the next study and analyze and vote and everything else. But
the reality of what we're dealing with.
I think most politicians use studies to not do it.
But I would tell you what America does better. Well, I can't say to any other country because I haven't lived in any other country. I know America does it fantastically. America can run the clock like anybody, like nobody else. They can run the clock on any and every issue this country has ever had and ever will have. All they're going to do is duck and dodge and pivot and turn, because the main argument that this country will have about reparations, as elementary as it is to hear, but the very first excuse for not giving reparations, that happened so long ago.
But see, I hear you guys. And I know this isn't the purpose of this discussion, but I really, really want my content to be less about them and less about why things can't work, right? If it's part of the discussion on how we get to something that does work, then I'm all great with it, right? Because I'm like, reparations for the descendants of American chattel slavery, if we can get to the point where we're presenting it as part of the national identity, that may help some. How we get there, not sure yet. Need a lot bigger minds than mine to get us there. But it's kind of like when I think of universal health care, or I think of our public school system. America needs to invest in these things because it serves America. It serves America's best interest to have the brightest students, because those create the brightest adults who run your industry, right? Invest in the children so that you have a stronger nation. That's why the nations that we are fighting so hard against right now, they did that. Over the last 50 years, their mission was pour into the children, and now look at it, right? Now look at China, now look at North Korea, now look at India, now look at, America did the opposite. We started pulling money away from our children. A lot of the other nations have universal health care because you have a healthy population, you got a more, efficient and productive population. They're not going into bankruptcy because they...
being sick 99% of the time.
Right.
Not using the ER as health care.
Or avoiding going to the doctor because you don't want to pay that copay, right? So this is how America... So if we look at it and say, well, America, here's how... If you get right with the descendants of American chattel slavery, here's how it actually benefits the nation. One, it stops this discussion.
Thank you. If you want to, you right on that.
Put
Amen.
that in the rearview mirror. So now every time somebody come out their mouth talking about slavery and Jim Crow, you can be like, look, man,
we gave y'all money. Shut up.
Right. And then the other thing is move this discussion away from money, because most of the intellectuals that I've listened to that talk about reparations, they're not talking about money. Money is a component of it, but it's just not what it is. It's about, we were systemically disadvantaged. We were systemically opposed and obstructed. So we need things to be put in place to help us make up for that difference, right? When you had slavery, during that same time that our people were held in bondage, other people were able to secure land and buy land and build industries and all of these things that have moved through generations and accumulated a tremendous amount of wealth. There will never be another time in America where you can just own 200 acres of land just because. Right? That's not...
Yeah, corporations are going to make sure that don't happen.
Well, it just doesn't exist because the land has been accumulated, right? So back when we were in bondage, we didn't have the opportunity to own a forest. We didn't have the opportunity to own a gold mine. We didn't have the opportunity to own what would eventually become a plastics industry, right? We don't own means of production. So until we can get our feet under ourselves, most of the money you give us is coming right back to you.
It's coming right to you. You go get it.
So that money stimulates the economy. So it actually helps you. And then the money that doesn't go back into the economy is going to go into building industry and new businesses so that we can start businesses at a well-capitalized position similar to our peers versus starting on a shoestring, which also helps the country, right? But so long as it's couched in reparations as punishment on white people, it's dead in the water, because those are our historical adversaries. You say black, they hear white. They say white, we hear black. And we just knuckle up and go at each other when we need to get back to or get to a sense of nationhood. Right? Like, I don't want America to fail only because America's my nation. But America has rejected my people from the beginning. So if it fails, kind of sucks, don't it?
I think what we need to do, just to stick to what the theme of your shows is to come up with solutions. And I didn't mean to come off flippant about the studies to vote to studies, so vote to get a committee to vote for us. I know. Okay, let's be honest with you. For the people who meet me for the first time, half of me is joking about that because y'all really do that. It irritates me. But keep doing it. And that's my problem with the issue when it comes to reparations. Stop the starting and stopping and starting and stopping things. If you're going to study, then you constantly keep studying.
Until you can do something with it.
Until you come to a resolution. The resolution is not, we can't come to an agreement, so we're just going to shelve it. No, we don't. You shelve it to win.
So here's the thing. What you're touching on, Marlon. All right. So I'm going to use just the Senate because it's the easiest one. In the Senate, there are what? 100 senators, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many black senators do we have?
5.
We got 5?
We got 5. Raphael Warnock, Cory Booker, Tim Scott, the lady from Virginia, and that other lady. We have 5.
I didn't know about the last 2.
We
All
have
right.
5 black. Wait a minute.
Right.
I think we have 5 black United States. It used to be 6 because that one black lady took Kamala Harris's place until they had the election. But
so we have 5. We have 5
black United States senators.
We have 5% of the Senate. What do you guys think? I present, if you want to get this past just studies and stuff, we need a lot more than 5%. Because our allies ain't going to do it.
Okay, I was exactly right. I didn't mean to kid it. 5 incumbent senators are African Americans: Tim Scott, Angela Ashbrooks, Raphael Warnock, Lisa Blunt Rochester, Cory Booker. That's 5.
All right. So obviously 5 ain't getting it.
Delaware? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we have 5. That's the most we've ever had, too. That's how sad it is.
I'm laughing at the one that's from Delaware. Like,
yeah, Delaware. She's from Delaware.
Delaware?
Delaware.
That's cool.
There are black people in Delaware. Now, if she was from Wyoming, I'd be like, what? But yeah, there's black people. There's an NAACP.
And you got better chances of seeing people of different backgrounds in the Northeast than you do anywhere else in the country.
Delaware?
Yes, black people live in Delaware.
Like Jersey and DC.
Yes, it's near Philadelphia. You got New York. Yes, black people. There's an NAACP in Dover, Delaware.
Yeah.
Black people live in Delaware. Now,
but
Idaho.
The face you're making is when I hear about black people in Idaho.
Yeah. If she was from Wyoming, I'd be like, what? But yeah, Delaware, that's not surprising.
It's just I'm laughing at the lady. Do anybody think of the people in Nebraska? And they was like, so you want the black people to take over the farming in Nebraska? And I'm thinking, we can't take over the farming in Nebraska. Why? There's no black people in Nebraska.
Yes, there are black people.
Nebraska.
There are black people.
We got a lot of black
There's
farmers.
black people in Nebraska?
We got black farmers
There are
in
black
Nebraska.
farmers in Nebraska, Marlon. What are you talking about?
There's not many, but they're out there.
Yes. The only states that I wouldn't think black people live in are Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, Utah.
North Dakota, South Dakota.
The Dakotas.
South Dakota. I'm about to say Colorado, but
yes, but black people do live in Delaware.
Colorado.
We're definitely in Colorado.
Yeah, but I mean, we are really clustered in certain areas. That's why sometimes we think there's more of us than there really are, because we're all next door to each other.
And by the way, people, I'm just being funny. I don't hear it everywhere.
But what I was getting at about the reparations thing is just so people can have a better scale understanding. Because when you say that, we have 5 black senators, that lands to me anyway different than when I tell you 5%.
Yep. And who's to say they're for reparations? They may all be against it.
And to be honest,
Tim Scott ain't on board.
Yeah, Tim Scott, you already got 1 vote against it. Tim Scott.
It's really 4% because
it's really 4 because Tim Scott ain't gonna vote for reparations. He thinks racism doesn't even exist. Boy, I don't know what plan.
Tim Scott is Steven from Django.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
I just love you, Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, so he gonna vote against it. Then
So-
I'm not sure because has Warnock ever, because he's your senator, is not mine.
Warnock is
How do
just
you-
another
how do you
politician in my view.
How do you feel about crossing racial lines then? Since we only
You're
have-
gonna need white
I need
people
you
to
to
pull
hear.
it
I
off.
can't hear what you said. I apologize.
Oh, I said, how do you feel about crossing racial lines then? Because you're right, 4% is not going to do it.
I think that in all things that you want to accomplish of scale, you have to cross lines.
You sure do.
Like, I hope people don't get me wrong here. Just because I'm pro-black, I am not anti anything. Okay. I am focused on building within the black community because the black community is broken and stressed. So I want to heal us so that we can compete better with our counterparts, right? Not our enemies, none of that. We're all on a team. We're not on the same team, no matter how much people want to pretend. That America is the NBA, and then all of us are different teams in the NBA. And right now, the white team keeps winning the championship. I'm saying I'm tired of always being called on to be part of the scrimmage league. Okay. I want my team to be able to compete better. I want us to get out of fourth place and move into third place. And yes, that means whoever was in third place goes to fourth place. That's competition. I don't like staying at the bottom. I'm not interested in staying at the bottom so that somebody else can stay above me. No, let's compete. Let's move up in the rankings. Let's do something. But if you want to accomplish something at the NBA level, we need all the general managers to go to the NBA and say what they need and lobby for what they need. So, yeah, I 100%. You got to blend. You got to blend at all levels, but I just think you got to get solid with your team, right?
Or you could be like Mitch McConnell, who literally said, you got reparations when Barack Obama was president. He literally said that with his whole chest.
And he said black people are just like just like Americans. Or just like Americans. Something like that. Like, we ain't Americans, but we're right there.
We're close. Well, if you don't sit yourself.
So crossing the color line, 100%. I think that's because that's what America is supposed to be. I just think that people need to disavow ourselves of the melting pot theory. It has always been a lie. It will continue to be a lie. America is not a melting pot. America is a salad or a stew. That is what America is, right? Everybody brings their flavor to make this thing. And expecting anyone to blend into the others is just unrealistic because only the Europeans have been able to blend. And please believe, we know their history. If they manage to get rid of the brown people and they manage to resubjugate the black people, they will begin fighting each other again.
Yeah, always do.
So what we need is to focus on a national identity and reshape this thing. If I was going to live in La La Land, second Earth, I think that Donald Trump and his administration could hopefully figuratively speaking, burn this country to the ground to the point that a new constitution has to be made. A constitution that is built off of the America that is and should be, and not the America that is and was. And right now we're held captive to the old constitution. So that's where it's like when Trump says we should get rid of the Constitution. No, we need to replace the Constitution, and you're not the one.
I mean, in theory, I kind of see where he's going because to me, the Constitution has always been trash. You're not going to tell me I'm 3/5 of a person. I don't care. Blah, blah,
but they're
blah.
not in there anymore. He's just not the one to oversee.
Yeah, he's not the one to make the change because he wants to be an emperor, which I'm not for.
But the deal is, you don't have to change the Constitution because
yes, you do have to change.
Yeah, hold on. You don't have to change the Constitution because in the Constitution they wrote in it that you're supposed to revisit every 11 years. You're supposed to remodel the Constitution based on the time frame that you're in.
And if that's the way to do it, I'm with you.
But they're not doing that though, Marlon.
Yes, that's my point.
Yeah, they're not doing.
Yeah, because the problem with that is you got to get it through the House, you got to get it through Congress, and then you got to get it through all the states.
26 states have to say yes.
Right. So, yeah, and there's so much that goes into it. But that's why I'm like, yeah, we either need, I don't care how we get there. If it's rewrite the Constitution itself, like have a new national constitution, though I don't think the minds that exist right now are capable for such a thing. I don't think the American mentality is as such where it can do a big thing. But if not that, let's go through amendments, right? If I had the authority and the power to go to whoever runs for president on any level, third party, Democrat or Republican, one of my test questions for them: what will you do? What changes will you push for to rein in the authority of the executive office? Because Trump showed a lot of the weaknesses in our current system back when he was in the first time. Biden came in and didn't put any of the brakes back on. None of them. Trump came in again and kicked what few brakes was still there right on out. So the next one, I'm like, what are you willing to do? Right? Are you going to make the emoluments clause matter? Are you going to make the self-dealing stuff matter? Are you going to do something about this corruption? You're going to do something about ICE? You're going to do something, right? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, point out that the Doge firings were unconstitutional because literally Congress had a budget that was already approved. That's all you had to do was go by that. But let's talk about the major parties here. There's no way a president is going to do that, right? We know that's not going to happen. I'm going to rein him out.
Possible.
No, it's
who among the because I don't see any Republican doing it. I don't see any Republican that's going to say, hey, I'm going to rein in the executive branch. I can't even think of a Democrat that says, I'm going to rein in I'm literally like.
Right now, I can't either.
I'm literally like, well, who? Well, no, not that person. I like to think it was somebody like a Ro Khanna. That's literally the only person I can even come with. Maybe. And he's a maybe.
A president would not do it.
Yeah, I just can't see a president doing it.
The Senate and the House will do it.
But they're the ones that gave them the power anyway.
And
they're the ones that said, okay, take it. It's our job. Let's have you have it.
And they're to be the ones that take it away as soon as we get a Democratic president who actually uses the same power that they was using. Then they'll
Marlon, nah.
Take it away. Yeah, they will. Because they
didn't do that when Biden was president.
They have a big enough party where somebody is using their game plan for, and I'm using this in air quotes, people, for the greater good. Oh yeah. See, right now, are you seeing the Senate or Congress said anything about abuse of power from Trump and the administration?
Nope. Especially John Fetterman.
You're not seeing that at all.
No.
Yeah, I agree with Fetterman.
I guarantee you, if a Democratic president gets in there and use the exact same tactics, the exact same way that Trump and his administration is using, but it's for the people, for the greater good of the American people, I guarantee, and I'm sorry, I get to use my one cuss word for the show, I guarantee you.
That's the one you chose?
Yeah, I'm like, that's like the most mild curse word. Like, that's mild.
The abuse, I'll wait for tomorrow. The abuse of power statement will be used so much it will not be funny.
And that's well and good. So, but then that would take us in a whole other thing, which I definitely don't want us to do because we're almost at 2 hours. But I agree with both of you. I agree with you, Tracy, that the climate that we're in, right, There's no way a Republican's going to pull back because they're waiting for their chance.
They want more. They want more. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Vote on something. Just let me rubber stamp.
Like Vance is like dancing in the corner, like, let me in, right? And the Democrats, in my view, have already proven that they're not going to do anything because they think, well, I'll just do better, right? But I still think that those are questions that they should be put on Front Street about. So that the American people hear them say it. Like I keep saying, turn the lights on, make them lie to you. Don't just accept that they're gonna lie to you. Make them lie. Make them get out there and say it at least, right?
Well, Trump lied when he said he was going to be the peace president,
right? But no one pushes back on him. Not the right people, right? So that's what's important. It's not just that they lie. It's not that just you let them lie. I'm saying you have to make them lie, right? Trump, we let him lie. Because he'll get up there and say anything, but because of how our crooked press is built, they don't push back on him.
No, they sure don't.
Right? They'll ask one follow-up question. They'll see him get mad, and they'll back way up off.
And that's when you're supposed to go in. Right. Once you see that anger start, that's when you're supposed to.
And if they don't back off, what happens? They get sued or they get fired. That's what happens. So, in the Congress, like I said, we definitely should cover this another day, maybe. But the Congress, this is where we go into if we want to have controls pushed onto the executives by Congress, then we need to get more people into Congress. Well, that means you got to go through the effort of doing that. And are you willing to make the trade-offs to get the type of people who will do that? And just saying that whatever our fanciful ideas are, that won't get those people in Congress, right?
Yeah, because right, you've had Congress literally give the executive branch the power that it has.
So we need to change Congress.
Right. Trump should have never been able to bomb Iran without congressional approval.
Well, I'm going to pause you there. There's absolutely nothing anyone could do to stop him from doing that.
But he used
Congress can't stop him.
He used the word war. Keep in mind, he used the word
He can use whatever words he wants to. The man says what he wants. But I'm just saying he can start, every president can start a war. And then we can prosecute him for it. He can be impeached.
But is Trump going to be impeached?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But even if he had a working Congress, he still could have backed Bibi Netanyahu and done this thing. And then Congress would be like, no, we ain't giving you no money, though.
And they're not going to do that. Again, giving the executive branch power that it does not constitutionally have.
Because Congress doesn't want to take the blame for anything. So we'd have to change Congress. We'd have to change the president. If we change what we allow ourselves to vote for as a president, get away from red team, blue team, and get on red, white, and blue team. I know how corny that sounds, but that's what it is. If we can get to where we're voting for the best interests of the nation first, and then our individual groups second and third, then we can get a better president, we can get a better Congress. But right now we can't do that because I'm voting for what is least damaging and most beneficial for the Black community and for those with disabilities, because those are the two big things for me. Tracy, you're voting primarily on what are the things that are be more social networks, right? So universal health care, not having wars, right? So we're not walking in step. Neither of us are saying, well, what's best for America, right? So until we can get there,
I would say it's best for America not to be in wars.
Perhaps, but is it though?
If we could mind our own business and stop dipping in other people's countries' elections, even if I ain't got to like the ruler of Brazil, Venezuela's the one we outed. That person was duly elected because we didn't like, we're going to take him out. No,
well, I agree with
you. That's who they wanted. Let them have it.
It's not necessarily that's what they wanted because it could be crooked elections. We get involved in those too, but we are also the ones that help break them, right? So, but saying if we don't get involved, the world won't get involved with us is it's just not a reality. That was one of my biggest criticisms for Dr. West. Like his is like, let's not get in all these wars. Why are we in all these wars? Okay. But if you don't go into the wars, it ain't like the world's just not going to mess with you. So what you going to do for that? You ain't got no plans for that. So we have to get to the point where it's like, yes, we have our personal things that we are most concerned about or interested in, but more than even that, how do we save the house, right? How do we make sure the house is in the best possible shape, which means, and then we're all in our own separate rooms. So if the house needs a roof, we need to be able to say, we need to fix the roof on the house and not get, Marlon talking about, yeah, but the deck is falling in and that's where I like to read. And Tracy talking about, yeah, but the dining room, you know what I'm saying? It's got mice in it. You know what I'm saying? Get the mice out the dining room. And then I'm sitting here in the den talking about, yeah, but I ain't got no internet. We need a roof. and we're not there. We're simply not there.
But how do we get there?
That would be an excellent discussion for another day. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, because you're saying that's what we're doing. I'm like, okay, how do we get there?
Yeah, but we're at 2 hours. I mean, I doubt y'all want to do this for another hour. But yeah, let's get together and talk about it. How do we get on one accord for a real America first? Right.
Right. And that's where I get it, because a lot of you'll take this personal, but oh well, I get to be your big sister, so younger sister, oh whatever. It seems to me like I know I got pie in the sky hopes. I know I do. There's no way I'm gonna divorce myself from who I am. There's lines. Yeah, I draw them. And I'm going to make a candidate cross them. Point blank, period. But it seems like what I'm hearing is, well, you could be flexible. And to me, being flexible, like I say, no more wars. Because I like to walk in peace and live in peace. Now, it's like I'm compromising. I'm being asked to compromise, and I don't like that. So I think that should be a part of the discussion, because I'm like, nah, there's some stuff I'm not gonna. I don't care what you say. I don't care. Call me whatever name you want to call me. I don't care.
But you do compromise. You're just not being forced to face that you're making the compromises.
I don't know. When have I ever compromised, though?
Okay. So
give me an example.
Okay. So the insulin pump example that you were sharing, right? How the cost will be different under this versus that, right? But what does it take for you to be able to have it at the cost that you do have it? It takes America being in the position that America is in to force pricing the way that it does for you to have the relative peace to do that. People in Gaza can't get that pump.
Okay, that's a good,
right?
That's a good
so
example.
It's like we make different concessions because it's life. I mean, it's life. We're all doing stuff, right? So we don't get to just, have our way. It's just sometimes we're not forced or made to look at the compromises. And so when we're not forced to look, if we're not having to face the big things, it's real easy for us to fight over the little things. And I think that's what we get. A whole lot of us fighting over little things.
That's a good point.
Mr. Marlon, you got anything before we close out, brother?
Nope. Didn't know how long 2 hours was when it lets you be on somebody else's show.
Well, you sure don't. You're like,
your own show, 2 hours is just like, what?
You fly by. You're like, it's been that long? What?
Now, in my defense, Mr. Marlon, I have been saying, hey, let's try to do the 2 hours. And you were like, yeah, we'll see. And then blame me when it doesn't happen.
Yes, I still blame you.
If you added in all the videos that we do, we would be at 3 hours.
All I'm going to say is in my defense, I'm not on the show anymore, so it's not me dragging the time.
And I'm not even going to lie. I know tomorrow's going to go over 2 hours, so ain't it? Because it's the first show of the month, so we already rested and everything, so.
Cash your checks and come on. Hey, so everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Complex Mind, Simple Man. This is Thinking Out Loud. It was so awesome having Marlon and Tracy here. I told you it's going to be open discussion. We got onto a lot of different things. But whatever we say we were going to talk about, we talked about that, and then we talked about some more. So Marlon, tell everybody where they can find you, see you.
Radical Truth to Power tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Saturday Night Vibe tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Theas and Anna. Radical Truth to Power Sunday at 8 p.m. with Theas and Anna. Come check us out.
All right, and that's on YouTube, folks. And Tracy, where can we find you?
My YouTube channel, Tracy Carson, or you can just type in Tracy Media 74. I am on break this week. I'm not doing any videos this week, but I will make up for it next week.
All right.
Also,
so by the time,
please do not forget to hit that like button. We had a
and comment
discussion. Please comment, like, subscribe. Make up a whole different page and then subscribe again, and just keep doing that about 50 times, and
share.
That'd be nice, especially the liking and the comment part. I mean, my subscriber count, I think I'm at 58. But that's cool. I don't put out enough content. But hey, if you would please let the algorithm know to come check out stuff like this here, put it in front of other people. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you go check out my people's pages, man. They got really good content and they keep it coming. So y'all have a good one. It's great. And as always, just thinking out loud.